Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Erica Bivens, filling in for Sandra Gumansing. Topping this newscast, Governor John P. DeYoung Jr.'s Health Reform Task Force met last Monday to talk about the findings revealed in a draft health insurance market analysis. It's the latest piece the group needs to decide whether or not a health insurance exchange would work best for the territory. News 2's Erica Parsons has an update.
During a meeting chaired by Banking and Insurance Director John McDonnell in St. Thomas last week, the governor's Health Reform Task Force met to talk about the findings released in a just completed draft health insurance market analysis.
This report will update the SHADAC insurance survey that was conducted in 2009. And we're very excited about the findings of this report because it will give us 3 years to compare data. We have 2003, 2009, and then we have 2012.
The findings show that the territory's uninsured population has gone up, which wasn't surprising to officials.
We knew that with the lack of having companies that offer individual insurance in the territory, that we would see an increase in our uninsured rate. What was also interesting is although on the mainland they've seen a decrease in their level of uninsured over the last year, the Virgin Islands has seen an increase.
Those numbers show that about 29.7% of the VI is uninsured. That number is up slightly from 28.7% in 2009 and 24.1% in 2003. The study also showed that more than 50% of all 18 to 24-year-olds are uninsured. The task force is still considering the final pieces before making a recommendation to the governor about whether a health insurance exchange is feasible for the VI or whether the territory should take more Medicaid funding. October 1 is the VI's cutoff to decide. In the meantime, the task force hopes to release the official report by the end of May.
Final report will actually have around a 50-page narrative in the front section, and then there will be 3 additional reports attached in the appendices. What the public can look forward to is the final recommendations report will be written in a format where the average individual layperson could read through the information.
Erica Parsons, News 2.
Phillips Dorsett says the governor wants to discuss the report with senators prior to its official release. The task force is scheduled to meet again next month. A study that Delegate Donna Christensen has been asking for as part of the health reform law is moving forward. The delegate's office announced Tuesday that the Office of the Secretary of Health and Human Services will include the territories in a report to reassess how the poverty level is calculated for different geographic areas. Christensen says the study is important, especially considering the VI's high cost of living. She says the current federal poverty level that determines eligibility for federal programs is out of date, and because of that, many residents can't access these programs. Earlier this month, News 2 shared the story of 49-year-old Magdalene Mills, a woman who was diagnosed with hypertension and diabetes that now needs a new kidney. Financially, things don't look good, and a waiting list may take too long. And although one of her daughters may have a solution, she still needs your help.
Speechless. Kind of devastating.
That's how Monica Hunt reacted to finding out her mother, Magdalene Mills, needed a kidney. But she and her 4 other sisters quickly turned their worries into how they could help Mom.
We just wanted to make sure that one of us hopefully is a match so we can donate the kidney to her.
But the fact that Magdalene's daughters are willing to donate their own kidneys to help hasn't been easy to accept.
It's still, something that I wish I didn't really have to do.
But Monica and her sisters have already started researching so they could better understand how a kidney transplant works.
Yesterday, actually, I did an hour of intake on preparations and financial and the procedures and the after effect of the procedures and basically the whole rundown of donating the kidney.
As a 27-year-old mother of 2, Monica is also thinking about her children.
Would I be able to survive off of 1 kidney? God forbid if mine starts to deteriorate, is it a possibility that I can get one restored? The second thing is that looking at my children now to see if they can possibly donate one to me. Like, it's not an easy thing to, set your mind on.
But money is an issue, and Magdalene is still unemployed and still looking for work.
I work with the hospice. I work with children. I'm in the health field that I love very much. I'm also, willing and able to work in almost any field.
In the meantime, Magdalene has started the Magdalene Mills Foundation to raise money that will help pay for testing, travel, and medication. Her daughters are waiting for funds to get tested to see if they're a match.
We just want to help her out for the long run.
Now, if you'd like to help, you can send money orders or checks to Christ Methodist Church in Market Square at P.O. Box 1045, Charlotte Amalie 00804. Checks and money orders, they should be made payable to Magdalene Mills Foundation. You can also call 917-769-0097. The Schneider Regional Medical Center will celebrate its annual Hospital Nurses Week beginning Monday, May 6th, with a few events lined up to honor their employees. On Monday, they'll begin with a spiritual enrichment program for National Nurses Day under the theme of delivering quality and innovation in patient care. That takes place in the first floor lobby from 9 a.m. to noon. Then on Wednesday, May 8th, there will be a pinning ceremony and volunteer recognition from 10 a.m. to noon, also in the first floor lobby. The 30th anniversary celebration of the Myra Keating Smith Community Center will take place the following week. That's May 16th on St. John. Well, next week is also National Tourism Week, and the Territory has a few events coming up as well. Kicking off this weekend, the USVI Department of Tourism has planned several activities to address two key areas: island cleanliness and customer service. With this year's theme, Let's Clean Up Our Act. Tourism Week kicks off with a territory-wide cleanup Saturday, May 4th from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. at various locations. Volunteers will be provided a t-shirt, gloves, reusable water bottle, and drinking water. The minimum age requirement for participation in the cleanup is 14 years old, accompanied by an adult. There will be free customer service workshops next week as well. St. Croix will host theirs Tuesday, May 7th at UVI Great Hall and Wednesday, May 8th at the Henry Rolson Airport. St. Thomas will also hold their workshops. That's Thursday, May 9th at the VI Port Authority Conference Room and Friday, May 10th at UVI's Administrative and Conference Center. St. John is scheduled for Thursday, May 9th at Julius Sprouse School. Starting April 30th, there will be no lifeguards at Kramers Park or the Vincent Mason Senior Pool in Fredericksted. Officials from the Department of Sports, Parks, and Recreation are advising the public that from Tuesday through Saturday this week, there will be no lifeguard service. The lifeguards will be attending mandatory recertification training during this time. The department apologizes for the inconvenience. St. John will be hosting their 4th annual Summer Youth Fair this Wednesday, and members of the VIPD are urging residents to attend with their children. The fair features organizers for summer youth programs as well as summer hire programs. At least a dozen providers are scheduled to be there, including the Department of Labor, VIPD, and Sports, Parks, and Recreation. The fair will be held at the Julius Sprouse School in Cruz Bay May 1st from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. You can call Melody Rames at 643-7728 for more information on the Summer Youth Fair. St. Thomas police are investigating gunshots that were fired Friday in Oswald Harris Court. Police say that around 6:40 that morning, they were called to the housing community because of shots fired. When they got there, however, the suspects had already fled. No one was hurt, but 2 vehicles were damaged by gunshots, as well as some windows and walls of buildings 2 and 3. Police remind residents that it is illegal to discharge firearms. A St. Croix couple was robbed Sunday night in Estate Campo Rico. They told police when they returned home around 10 and drove into their front yard, they saw 2 masked men with guns. The suspects demanded the victim's wallet and car keys, which they gave up. The suspects drove away in the couple's gray 1994 Toyota Camry, license plate CCE 989. One suspect was described as Hispanic, slim, dressed in all black with a cloth over his face. The other suspect was described as black, slim, about 6 feet tall, also dressed in black. Anyone with information on this or any crime should call detectives at 712-6077 or Crime Stoppers USVI at 1-800-222-TIPS. Turning our attention stateside, 100 days into his second term, President Obama told reporters he still has his political clout to get things done in Washington. He took the podium in the White House briefing room for a wide-ranging news conference that started with a question about the Syrian government's possible use of chemical weapons. Danielle Nottingham reports from the White House.
President Obama suggested he'll consider military action against Syria if the international community confirms President Bashar Assad used chemical weapons on his own people.
The proliferation risks are so significant that we don't want that genie out of the bottle.
The president addressed his ongoing budget battle with Congress, prodding lawmakers to find a compromise that will replace the automatic budget cuts.
The only way we're going to lift it is if we do a bigger deal that meets the test of lowering our deficit and growing our economy.
The president sounded more optimistic about immigration reform, saying he is confident that a bipartisan bill in the Senate that beefs up border security and provides a pathway to citizenship will make it to his desk. President Obama praised the efforts of investigators working on the Boston bombing case. Asked whether Americans should feel worried about big public events, he said everyone can take a cue from Boston.
We're not going to stop living our lives because warped, twisted individuals try to intimidate us.
In response to the news conference, Senator Lindsey Graham issued a statement saying national security has deteriorated on President Obama's watch. The president was leaving the podium when he returned to comment on NBA player Jason Collins.
Yeah, I told him I couldn't be prouder of him.
President Obama spoke with Collins on the phone Monday after he announced he was gay. Danielle Nottingham, CBS 2 News.
And keeping our eye on the economy, Americans are feeling more confident about the economy thanks to a recovering job market. The Conference Board's monthly survey shows people are confident that companies will hire more workers and that salaries will increase over the next 6 months. Weak earnings held back stocks. Meanwhile, Pfizer pulling the Dow lower after the world's second largest drug maker reported disappointing earnings and cut its profit forecast for the rest of the year. This is the New York Stock Exchange with Scotiabank Stock Market Watch. Everything up, Dow 21, NASDAQ 21, and S&P 3. Coming up on News 2, the Department of Tourism is looking for qualified dancers to perform at the 165th Emancipation Celebration. Do you have what it takes? Plus, the 10th annual Beach to Beach Power Swim is coming up. Are you registered? Details when we return. Well, if you plan to participate in the 10th annual Beach to Beach Power Swim on Sunday, May 26th, then you should make sure you register by Friday, May 3rd to save yourself some money. Early registration for adults is $40 and general registration, which begins May 4th, is $50. Children 17 and under can register for $25. Sunday, May 12th is the final practice swim that starts from the north end of Maho Bay and goes to either Cinnamon, Trunk, or Hawks Nest Bay. Early registration is limited to 300 people and there will be no registration on the day of the event. You can call 779-4940 to register or to volunteer. Well, do you think you can dance? If so, this could be your chance to be part of a reenactment on St. Croix. The Department of Tourism is looking for qualified dancers to perform at the 165th Emancipation Celebration on St. Croix. That's July 3rd at Fort Frederick. The competition will be held June 15th at Island Center at 7 p.m. Groups will be judged from a number of categories, including attire, performance, message, and music. In addition, the winning group will receive $5,000. Dance groups who are interested can call Diane Brown at 774-8784 before May 13th for more information. Well, more than 30 of the territory's 7th and 8th graders qualified for the prestigious Johns Hopkins summer program. Education officials announced recently that 17 students from the St. Thomas St. John district and 15 from the St. Croix district passed the qualifying exam in February. The Johns Hopkins Center for Talented Youth summer program gives students a first-hand look at college campus life and what it takes to be able to go to college. The students also get a chance to meet and interact with their peers from around the world. This is the second year VI students will be participating. On Saturday, the Good Hope School on St. Croix held their 8th annual Family Fun Day for the community. The event is organized and sponsored each year by the school's parent organization. And while there were several classes fundraising for class trips, officials say it was mainly about fun for the family.
There are various classes that have fundraising activities. For instance, the 5th grade is selling food to help support their St. John trip, which they take annually. And our 8th graders are also doing a Virgin Islands history trip in a couple of weeks, so they're selling some things as well. But primarily it's for families to come out. We have a dedicated group of parents who put this event together every year for the entire St. Croix community to enjoy. And we have carnival games, we have a petting zoo, we have bouncies, we had an opening with our middle school and upper school dance elective, a dance show that they put on. They're going to be showing at the Caribbean Dance Company's annual recital. We also have lots of food and drinks on sale, and just a great day for families to come out and have fun.
Well, wrapping up School Library Month, Austin Advertising and the VI Department of Planning Natural Resources have made a considerable donation to the VI Department of Education. At a small ceremony recently, education officials received Today in Virgin Islands history scripts to distribute to school libraries. The territory's junior high and high school students will be able to explore historic VI moments documented by Jermaine Griffith. The project was paid for by DPNR's VI State Historic Preservation Office with funding from the U.S. Interior Department's National Park Service that aired on WSTA for 6 months. Hundreds of students were honored this month on both UVI campuses for their academic achievements. UVI celebrated its top 20 for the 2012-2013 school year during presentation ceremonies held April 14th on St. Thomas and April 21st on St. Croix. Students with the highest GPAs were recognized, as well as individual awards from each of UVI's 5 schools and colleges. Students who received scholarships and those who qualified for Who's Who Among Students and the Golden Key and Psi Chi Honor Societies were also recognized. A complete listing of the honorees are available on UVI's website. Stick around, your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.